Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Get the Shot, brought to you by Tamron Australia. My name is Joe Orchard. Today with me, I have another winner of Australian Photographer of the Year. We have John Peters. As you can see from the images displaying overhead right now, it's got some of the most interesting macro close-up things you can possibly imagine. I'm super interested to get into it and talk all about it. John, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you.
Your photos are absolutely captivating for so many reasons, and we get to see something that we don't normally see so close up and so intimately. So how did you get into this style of macro photography?
Oh, well, I started macro photography in beginning of 2024. So I've only really been doing it for a year. And I began with the kit lens, which comes with the 90D. And because it got pretty close, about 30 centimeters distance at 135 millimeters. And so I just used the flash that's on camera to capture some macro shots, and I thought it's pretty interesting. So that's when I invested some money into the Canon 100mm macro lens, which is a 1:1 scale lens. And then I got the flash, and then the diffuser, and then I saw how much of a difference a diffuser makes, because macro lighting is like very much about lighting, of course. And I'll show you the setup that I currently have. This is what it looks like here. So this is the diffuser, this is the lens, the 100mm macro, and then this right here is a Raynox DCR 250. And what that does is it pretty much turns it from 1:1 scale to 2:1 scale, because jumping spiders are so small and you need more than 1:1 scale to get that detail. And so because it's on a 90D, I've got 32.5 megapixel crop sensor, which gives me a lot of room to crop in. And because I'm using a flash, I can use like base ISO settings, so it's always sharp.
Tell me from like start to finish, how would you capture a photo of a spider?
Yeah. So normally first I do the trust test of a spider. I'll hold my finger near it, and if it jumps onto my finger and stays, then I'll bring him inside, and then that's where I have a setup with a tripod. A lot of macro photographers always like have the portable setup, obviously. They're going outside and taking the photos there. Whereas I've got this tripod, right? So this arm here holds the color cards, and I'll show you what the color cards look like. As you would have read in the Photographer of the Year description, that I use Bunnings color cards.
Hell yeah.
So this is what it looks like. It's in a filter case, so that's where I have all the colors and stuff. And then this is what they all look like. And then I choose my color, usually according to the colors of the spider, especially the eyes, because a lot of jumping spiders have different color eyes. And then I just clip it in like that. So the camera's sitting here, and then I'm holding the spider in between the lens and the background.
Are any of the spiders you grab venomous or dangerous?
Yeah, all spiders are a bit venomous, but the fangs of jumping spiders are way too small to actually penetrate the human skin. But for all the spiders that I've ever handled with, I've never been bitten once by a spider. And I've also held, some huntsmen before and stuff, so I've gotten used to them. But it's more when people are handling aggressively with them, which is why I do, as I say, the trust test. Hold my hand out. If they jump, then they're fine. So.
Why spiders? I've seen on your Instagram you've got grasshoppers and all sorts of other animals and all that from your past, but what about spiders particularly fascinates you?
Well, I guess I wanted to show people something that they can't see, as you had said earlier. And so seeing each individual hair is really fascinating, and seeing all details that you would never see with the naked eye. And that, because if you've seen my website and if you've seen my my Instagram, you'd know that I'm a Christian, and that I do everything for the glory of God. And so to take such a tiny thing like a jumping spider, and that even that can give us a glimpse into the magnificence of the Lord's mind, his creation and stuff. That's what I'm trying to get across to people, that they can find in the tiniest insect, the tiniest spider, that there's such glory in it actually.
Are you looking to continue doing spiders, or do you want to sort of veer into more close-up macro of other animals and or insects?
Well, it's pretty obvious that like I mainly do jumping spiders, but I think I'm gonna go onto more smaller spiders because recently I bought this lens here, tiny lens, but this is a Laowa 2.5 millimeter, so 2.5 to 5 times scale lens. And so that's going to allow me to get significantly closer to a lot of spiders that I haven't been able to photograph with the 2:1 scale setup. So that's what it looks like all the way out. Pretty interesting lens, pretty difficult to use, I must say, because I did a shot of a wraparound spider at 5 times scale, and that was a 176 image stack just to get like the head in. So it's quite a bit, and that's done on the DSLR, the 90D, and the buffer on the DSLR is 40 frames. So I take the 40 frames and then I have to stop, wait for the buffer to fill up, and then do another 40, and then do that till I get 176 photos. So it's not easy, but yeah, I'm looking to do different species of spiders.
I've seen on your page as well, as you mentioned earlier, you hold the spiders, and that's how you're able to get that really good symmetry there. You've got a couple where the animal is on a leaf or a rock or something like that. How do you capture those, or how did you go about making those?
Oh, so I kind of transitioned into doing the handheld, like holding the spiders and moving them, because then I eventually got the idea of color cards, and that's where I, made this setup with the arm to hold the color cards, and then I'm like, the best way I can really do this is to actually just hold the spider. So with them, I mainly it was just outside, with the ones that are on the rocks and stuff.
There's one in particular that I'm personally quite a fan of, where there's a spider with a fly that it's caught and it's holding.
Oh, I'm trying to think which one. Oh, yeah. I know which one.
How did you go about that? Because that's quite miraculous.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I obviously observe jumping spiders a lot because I'm looking out for them. And oftentimes when I spot one, I see there's a fly nearby and it's creeping slowly towards that fly. So the one that you're talking about, I didn't touch it, but like I first let it get the fly. I put my finger up. Surprisingly, he jumps onto my finger, even with the fly, And then I took him inside, put him on a leaf, and then was able to get that shot.
You've talked a lot about the lenses themselves and the technology inside the cameras. What made you so curious about camera technology?
I mean, I'd say macro is probably one of the more technical genres of photography, especially when you get into the, I guess, realm of focus stacking, because you're looking at high magnification lenses, you're using your flash, you need a diffuser, high-speed continuous shooting to get that full focus stack, and a lot of editing in like softwares and stuff. So for the software, I use Zareen Stacker. There's a different one that's called Helicon Focus. Helicon Soft, and that's a free version of Stacker if people are interested in doing macro photography for free. And yeah, there's these guys called Media Division, if you're familiar with them on YouTube, and yeah, they're from Germany, and they go really in depth with like technical aspects of photography and stuff, and the quality of their work is crazy. It's really cool. And so that kind of got me more into the technical side of photography and stuff.
Do you just do macro photography, or do you do other photography works?
I do some other photography. You would have seen flower photography in the Instagram, so with the black backgrounds. And as I have up here framed some of my work with the flowers, that was more at the beginning. I had that my kind of niche of black backgrounds with just one subject, right? But now, of course, I do color backgrounds with just the subject in focus. But yeah, I'm looking to go into again flower photography with the black backgrounds, get more of that because not everyone likes spiders. So do something that other people can enjoy as well.
What got you into flowers in the first place?
I think the diversity of flowers. So it's similar with jumping spiders. There's such a diversity of them. I pretty much won't really be able to capture them all, you know, because there's always a challenge like the peacock spiders, if you're familiar with them. They're so small, and now with this lens, I'll be able to photograph them better because I've got like up to 5 times magnification. But the smaller you get, of course, the shallower depth of field. And I think there's over 144 species of peacock spiders. So that would be a challenge. But yeah, for flowers, it's that diversity. And capturing them in the same style, but obviously showcasing different flowers.
What made you want to enter Australian Photographer of the Year with your photos?
I mean, I've entered it quite a few times in the past, specifically the junior one, because last year I was 17, so I entered into the junior and stuff. As of recently, like more end of last year, I don't think I submitted any of my macro work, like more early last year and stuff. It was only until more end of last year that I started submitting some macro work and seeing the results out of that. And after winning Wildlife Photographer of the Year Nature category, it's boosted my confidence to enter more competitions for the macro work. And so yeah, I like Photographer of the Year because it's like kind of Australia's photography competition, one of the more well-known ones. And I like that there's 9 categories, Some are very limited competitions, like there can be, say, 3 categories, and they're very broad. So not many people have much of a chance of being seen. Because like my work's really niche, right? It's not every day you see colorful background and this tiny jumping spider scaled up so much. So that's where like I like competitions with more of the niche categories and stuff.
How old are you? You said you were 17, 18. My goodness, congratulations for all that you've done in what's evidently a short while. How long have you been a photographer for?
4 years, yeah. So I first picked up my sister's camera, which is some Canon PowerShot. It was an old one. I started taking photos with that. I started getting into editing then and saw what a difference editing makes, specifically with RAW files, which are actually made for editing. And so when I saw the results out of that, I got a job at Domino's and then worked my way up to the 90D with the kit lens, as well as a Tamron 150 to 600mm, because I was into wildlife. And then I captured a cassowary at the Australia Zoo, and that was a black background image, and that had won some major awards. And that's what really kickstarted my photography, because when I saw that I could get that image and it paid off in itself, just like from a competition, that it paid off a lot of my gear, I went more and more into that. And now I'm just doing macro photography. So yeah, 4 years I've been doing photography.
So I find that interesting that you go from really close-up macro stuff to really large, long lenses doing wildlife. How did you go about the wildlife photography?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say wildlife photography is quite a lot more demanding in equipment, higher end equipment than macro. Because I can do macro obviously with the 90D, a Godox flash, and then diffuser. It's really all that you need along with the macro lens. Macro lenses, you're looking at maybe $1,500 average. The Lowers are pretty cheap because they don't have image stabilization or autofocus, but it's an easier thing to get into because of the price range. But then when you're looking at, proper wildlife setups, you're looking a minimum of $2,000 for a lens, like a 150 to 600. If you're getting that 600mm range, $2,000 minimum, pretty much. And then the body, preferably full frame, because a lot of the times, because I did a lot of bird photography as well, you're in shady areas, you know, amongst leaves and stuff. So having a full frame sensor for better low light performance, and of course a lens with good aperture to get that like reduced noise as much as you can. I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky with the images because I pixel peep so much.
Yeah.
So I'd get like maybe a 20 grand 600 mil prime or something, you know? Because I think I pixel peep too much. Because now that I use base settings, you know, ISO 100, because I've got all the light I need with the macro setup. And then I go on to do some wildlife photography. I see all the grain and I'm kind of put off.
I guess it's drawing two different parts of approaching photography, and you've become so good at one and doing the other.
I guess it sets an expectation, you know?
Yeah.
Because when I focus stack and I see when the image is completely together, everything's completely in focus and you can go 100% zoom and it's like completely sharp. And then when you go down to wildlife photography, 100% zoom and it's all grainy and stuff. So I'm just, that expectation of perfection going to wildlife photography is, yeah.
I ask a lot of people on the show what's like a bucket list item, but bucket list doesn't really work when you're 18 years old. You're sort of still very much at the start of your career and have a lot that you want to do. What do you aspire to do? Do you want galleries? Do you want more magazines? Do you want books? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I've had it on my heart recently to actually, it's a gallery, and I won't go too much in detail because I've got so much ideas for this, and I really think it's going to happen. It's going to be macro work in one section, and then flower photography in another. But the theme of the gallery, because it's going to be really immersive, like a forest, with like speakers pretty much everywhere, right? So I've got a bunch of plans with that. It'll be interesting. So like backside illuminated images, similar to what you see in Wildlife Photographer of the Year. But yeah, that's probably the plan. It's a gallery, yeah.
What draws you to want to make your gallery immersive with speakers and fancy lighting and all of those production components?
Yeah, I mean, like I've talked about that standard being so high with the images, I want to meet that with the gallery. So I want it to be so immersive that it's kind of like, you know, having these massive prints of tiny spiders, and then you're really immersed in this different world, kind of, you know, of these tiny insects expanded so much. And I guess, like, for me, I want to, like, with color, I want to show as much life in my photos as possible, which is why I don't photograph dead insects and stuff. But I always do it, you know, I don't want to harm any spider or whatever. I want to capture the life of something, right? And so having, like, filling, say, a gallery with speakers and stuff, with sounds of nature and whatever, I want it to be as much of a lifeful experience as possible, you know? And just, like, immerse someone in God's creation like that, though it'll be an artificial setup. I want them to see how big God is, taking that little spiders, making them massive, showing all their details, right? And then being immersed with all the sound and stuff. So yeah, that's what I'd like out of that.
That's fantastic, dude. And I love that you've got such big ambitions, and I have no doubt that you'll get there. You're really kicking goals that photographers in their 20s, 30s, 40s would really love to do. So congratulations on all of that. How do you recognize then, with the type of photos that you want to do, what gear is important and what gear is sort of a want versus a need?
Yeah. Well, it's like flashes, because I already have a diffuser. There's not really a need for, like, say, like pro photo round head flashes, because I've already got the diffuser. It's doing all the work pretty much. And it's like, I guess, because with a DSLR, you need to look through the viewfinder when doing macro shots to get the highest FPS, which is what you want when doing macro. And it can be pretty pretty straining on the back when you crouch down and you're doing that stack of what 176 images say or whatever. Whereas with mirrorless, it's the same through the viewfinder or the screen, right? Because the viewfinder is also the screen, and it's got higher FPS capabilities. So I'm filming now with the R6 Mark II, and though it's full frame with the Laowa, I'm able to get pretty close, and it's so much easier to just look down at the screen and then get, I think it's like 15 FPS, like continuous, and then I'm just going through the image. So it's probably a matter of comfort, that. So I'm looking into the R7 because it's mirrorless. Maybe the R7 Mark II when that releases, because then I don't have to, it's pretty straining, as I say, looking down in that viewfinder and whatnot.
Well, it's not a love if you're not putting yourself in physical harm, I guess.
As I've mentioned in the description, like, of the Photographer of the Year entry, it takes me usually over 1,000 shots to get the one image of a jumping spider, because getting that focus stack, if you get through, that jumping spider moves the tiniest bit, then it's not a good shot. So then you got to do it again, and that jumping spider needs to be perfectly symmetrical. I won't really settle for something that's a bit off. So if it's off, then I'm gonna take more time on it, and that can take over 3 hours with one jumping spider.
Why are you so stubborn?
I mean, that's like I say, it's that standard that's been set, and now it's time to go higher, and then it's go higher and higher. You know what I mean? Continually want to get, more glorious shots and whatnot, all for the glory of God. It's not in my strength. I believe God has gifted me with this gift. I think it's a matter of just me shining my light, and showing people that an 18-year-old like me can take these photos not by my strength, but by the strength of the Lord. So he strengthens me to do so, and I believe I have the favor of the Lord upon my life. So it's like I don't think He'd allow me, if I don't give Him the glory. I find that I cannot get the right photos at all. But when I give Him the glory, and then he gives me a bit more, He gifts me with, say, an award, because it's written, all things work together for good to those who love God. So I truly believe that, and so I walk in that.
The way we like to wrap up the podcast is by the previous guest leaves a question for you, not really knowing who they are, and you don't really know who they are asking it. And the question for you is, what would you like the last thing you shoot to be? And I get that this is a bit of a weird question given that you're this young and we've talked about it, but
that's such a broad question. There's so many spiders. Maybe probably one kind of species of huntsman. There's actually, it's a fringed jumping spider. That's what they're called. A fringed jumping spider. They're not really in my area right now. I think they're more in Cairns that you get them, but they have the coolest looking face. And they're considered the smartest jumping spider of all species. And they're cannibals. They eat other jumping spiders.
Oh, that's terrifying.
But yeah, that would be the last subject I would like to shoot.
Well, again, John, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's amazing to see.
I hope I was all right.
Oh, you were more than all right. I think a lot of people are going to find your story very interesting and your technical prowess quite amazing. And you've got an incredible, long, amazing career ahead of you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you get up to. And I'd love an invitation to the exhibition whenever you decide to put that through. Yeah.
Yeah, the opening invitation, yeah.
If you want to hear what John has left for the next guest, find out next week. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.